Oh, shoot. Pretend we're not here. I'm struggling all over. All right, what's up, and welcome to the Boys of Fall. I didn't think it was recording, and then it delayed and said, end stream. So then here we pop up, and it's like, oh, audio stops, and I got it going somewhere else. But we are here. We are here for the Boys of Fall podcast. Today, Ty's traveling. So I've got D-Rock from the Trophy Sports Discord here as a replacement, but obviously a good replacement. D-Rock is very familiar with college sports. D-Rock is the main college basketball guy in the Discord there too. So we are excited. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to talk about I guess we can talk about the recap here first. Unfortunately, week 2 was rough, and I tell you, week 2 seemed to be rough all over the place. I mean, easily had the worst week. It was the week 2, obviously, so it was either week 1 or week 2. But anyway, D-Rock, hello. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, dude, no problem. Like you said, week 2 was rough, and that was pretty much a consensus that I got from a lot of different people all over Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it nowadays. But week 2 definitely was pretty challenging for a lot of people. A lot of the bigger teams that we thought were going to just show up and have easy matchups, it seems like they fell asleep, and I don't know if that's got anything to do with first week back to school. Kids are partying, staying up late. Maybe if they're good students, they're doing homework, but who knows? Hopefully this week's much better for us.
Dude, I'll tell you. So I feel like while I'm getting this recap pulled up, I feel like the expansion of the playoffs, I think, is like this is the first year of it, and teams can afford to lose, and like I don't know, like there's not as much drive in my opinion. Like every year is going to be different, obviously, but I feel like that, I don't know. I personally think that's going to cause some issues realistically. But
Yeah,
I mean, who knows?
then,
Recap though, real quick. Go ahead. No, do you got something to say about that?
Oh, I was just going to say that a lot of things that we aren't really taking into consideration is how crazy NIL was. There are a lot of new players and a lot of new teams, but with same expectations. And hopefully we start to see a lot of those things adjust. People start getting into the flow of the offense with game plans and stuff like that.
For sure. Forgot to acknowledge the people. We got Steven in here, Corey, usual, Trent. We got Mamba watching over on Twitch, live on Twitch today too. Let's see, Trent, man, I was right beforehand. I told D-Rock, oh, it's a pick. And then we're getting ready. And I'm like, oh my God, call a timeout. Oh my God. Like, what's going on? And throws a floater. The guy looks like he tried to jump the route is what it looked like. Missed it. A little wheel route to the running back, got the score. So we got some money on UNLV going tonight as well. At least I personally do. Who else is in here? That's it. So just like I can pull up comments from Twitch, I can pull up comments from YouTube, I can pull up comments from Twitter, depending on where you guys are watching. If you're watching on Twitter or you're on here, do me a favor, retweet the show, like on here, whatever you can do, try to show some love. What's up, Spencer? That's you, Mamba. That's probably you. You called Des Bryant Megatron the other day. I swear you did on Facebook. Spencer used to work for me back in the day. AJ, what's up? So we had week 1, we started fantastic. Obviously this, D-Rock come here, hopefully go 5-0. But week 1, we started out 8-2. Week 2, we went 2-8. And that is certainly not what I wanted to do. However, they say the best gamblers in the world are essentially 50-50 or 53%, something, whatever. So we are unfortunately back to even. We are 10-10. after a great start. But we've got individual plays. You can see Ty hit the Boise State and the Oregon State over. I hit on UCF minus 20.5. I love UCF. Kansas, lost outright. We got Kansas going now. Iowa, fell apart. They were up a good amount. They ended up losing the game outright. Notre Dame lost to NIU. Unbelievable, to be honest. My neck of the woods, people are not very happy about that right now. And super, super, super rough, So, but anyway, I felt like I was going to have something else to say, but I don't remember quite what it was. I think we can probably go ahead. Gosh, I don't remember what it was. Let me see if I can. I can't ever do this smooth. Dang it! Hold on. We're struggling. There it is. Ty always makes fun of me. All right, we're back. We're back to it.
First time streaming, huh?
Yeah, you would think so. So we are going to run through. I got 5 plays. D-Rock has 5 plays. At the end, we'll have 10 plays. D-Rock, I think he had mentioned he's got some team totals. He may have something to talk about there at the end. Unfortunately, do you have something?
For our people who are very few people who could bet player props, I got 2 props I'm going to give out that I absolutely love for tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go. And yeah, like I said, unfortunately, not everybody can bet on him. Trent, it's so frustrating. Like, Notre Dame cut NIU a check to come just whoop their butts, man. That running back had like 300 all-purpose yards or something stupid like that. Just ridiculous, Spencer, I don't know what's going on in your life, but when's the wedding, man? I think I deserve an invite. I'm pretty sure y'all got engaged, but I don't want to also call you out on, if you guys broke up or anything. But all right, here we go. Let me move my screen over here, and then we're gonna go. D-Rock, actually, if you want to kick us off, we can go ahead and we can kick us off and get going here.
Yeah, why not? First game we're going to go with is going to be LSU going into South Carolina. That game is going to be at noon Eastern time. And I'm going to go with the South Carolina, and I'm taking the 6. South Carolina is coming off a pretty, what we thought preseason would have been a impressive win. They beat Kentucky 31-6 at Kentucky. I'm not sure what to think about this Kentucky team, but regardless, going on the road, conference win this early in the season, that's pretty good for a South Carolina team who we weren't really sure what to expect, especially with losing Spencer Rattler, which not necessarily the biggest loss, but that was the guy that they had over there. LSU, they are pretty concerning for me this year. A good old Brian Kelly coach team, that guy is a guy that I never can figure out whether or not I can trust or not. I mean, we just seen last week, they came off the loss to USC, faced Nicholls State, and they allowed Nicholls to score 21 points. That's not good. 44-21 was the final score. And if they're going to let Nicholls score 21, they're going to have a hard time slowing down South Carolina. And in turn, South Carolina, they got a much better defense than any of these teams that they faced so far. They faced a soft USC team. They've lost 27-20. And then Nicholls State, where they were able to hang 44 points. I do think LSU's got a very good offense, but South Carolina is going to be a big test for them on the road. Really good defense. I think LSU might be able to squeeze out the win still, but this is going to be a close game, something along the lines like 21-17, 24-20, super close. Rocking with South Carolina in 6.
I think it's going to be rainy too.
Yeah, good for a sloppy game, and I might have to pull the classic D-Rock of any quarter to end scoreless because that's one that is a good recipe for it.
Yeah, and LSU's not running the ball very well, so I feel like that. I feel like with the pass, I mean, that could be pretty beneficial. What's up, Base?
Didn't Lacey tear his ACL again?
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, that's their starting running back. He was suspended last year for getting into some sort of university trouble, and then he's been injured, tore his ACL again, I believe. I've seen that news cross my screen. And, yeah, dude, they're going to struggle if they only are able to pass the ball.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll tell you, so what's up, Quandale? Here's a funny story about Brian Kelly real fast. So I used to live in Mishawaka, Indiana, all right? Which is basically South Bend. Basically South Bend. So I mean, I live 5 minutes from the stadium, was there for 5 years. Um for Notre Dame. I don't know if I mentioned that when Brian Kelly was there. And I used to run the Dick's Sporting Goods in South Bend. So, that was my store, store number 37. It was, I mean, it did a ton of money during the holidays. I mean, it was just so busy because of Notre Dame and everything. Brian Kelly was in my store one time, and this line, I mean, the line is literally to the back of the store. I don't know if you've ever been in Dick's Sporting Goods, but the line goes all the way to the back of like back
Back
to
to the
footwear.
shoe section.
And guess who did not want to stand in line? Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly did not want to stand in line in my store. And we said, no, Brian Kelly, you're going to stand in line. I either make you happy and I piss off 150 people in line, or I piss you off. And I am a Notre Dame fan, sir, but you are going to stand in the back of the line, and you're to pay for your North Face sweatshirts. And I'm sure the school could have just given to you for free or something like that. Anyway, Kansas State punt return touchdown. We don't like to see that. That's for sure.
No,
All right. So
I do like to see both those teams scoring in the first quarter, though. We're still alive.
Yeah.
3 quarters to go, baby.
That's right. Yeah, you were talking about that. All right. So yeah, I like the South Carolina play. My first play is going to be kind of getting a little creative. I do think that they probably cover the spread, although I don't know. I'm all about just points. I think Missouri over 34.5 team total is where I like it, and it's under that key number of 35. So we need 5 touchdowns to cover this. Missouri's pitched a shutout in both games. They won 38-0 against Buffalo, 51-0 against Murray. They did beat Boston College did beat FSU, but I just don't think they're as good as what a lot of people are thinking. I think they're getting more credit for beating an FSU team that is just really not good. Missouri has just these weapons that, and if you really look at like the snap counts and everything, I mean, Burden really hasn't been playing a lot. It's one of these where like they haven't really taken the car out of the garage, I think is an analogy. You know what I'm saying? They haven't opened it up. They haven't been able to actually let it rip and show off that offense. And I think against Boston College, that's going to be the opportunity. So in case they get into a shootout, or Boston College with Castellanos is able to run, or they're able to cause some problems, I think taking the team total over 34.5, because one thing I can say is that Missouri is going to score the ball. Missouri is going to score in case they can't cover, in case Boston College hangs with them. I like the 34.5 as my first favorite play for the team total. We got the home team there even too.
Yeah, dude, I like that 34.5. It's a solid football number. We're asking for 5 touchdowns to get scored. And to be honest, what I'm loving to see is that I believe this spread opened up at like 16.5 or 17 points. And that was maybe a little steep for me, but I still like the number. We're seeing a lot of public love right now in Boston College. And what I don't think people are understanding is they faced a Florida State team that had really high expectations coming into the season with DJ, even though we all know DJ sucks. And then they beat a Duquesne team who nobody knew had a football team. So You think that you could go into Missouri, who's got probably one of the better defenses in their conference, and be able to beat them? People are betting the plus 16.5. They're betting the money line. I'm sorry, but I think we're going to see the real Boston College show up tomorrow, and this is going to be like 35-10.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think, like I said, at the very least, I think Missouri is going to score some points. I did forget to say in the beginning, for those of you that are watching live, now's the time, to get some interaction. If there's a particular game, if you don't, towards the middle, towards the end that we don't hit on, I mean, we can certainly, help out with that. We got a decent amount of people watching on Twitter, watching on YouTube. If you're watching this live, if you're watching this on the recorded version, if you get in the comments, it's before, the game start. I very well likely will be able to see that and can try to help and answer questions for you as well. But D-Rock, second play for you.
Yeah, dude, I'm rocking with NC State minus 20.5. It's a solid football number again. That's just the lines that I like to target. I don't like targeting those weird numbers that are like 8.5. It just doesn't make sense to me. But 20.5, going into La Tech, or I'm sorry, La Tech's going into NC State, but NC State kind of struggled to start the season. I mean, they struggled in the first half in their first game. They were still able to put up 38 points and close that one out. And then Tennessee on a neutral territory last week in the Panther Stadium. Tennessee just opened up a can of whoop ass on them. I think this is a really good bounce back situation facing an LA Tech team. And what I really foresee happening is NC State being able to get whatever they want offensively. Grayson McCall is going to be able to really show us that Coastal Carolina form. And I think they're going to find a lot of success running the ball as well. We've seen Jackson, they faced Nicholls State, 25-17 in their first game, and then they already had a bye week. But I really believe that we're going to see, who's their running back again? Jordan Waters. I think Jordan Waters is going to have one of his iconic games that we've seen last year where it's 140-plus rushing yards and 3 touchdown type of insane game, but they won't be able to slow him down.
Yeah, for sure. Trent, so neither one of us is on that game, but there's a boost for it. So in some fashion tomorrow, I know I definitely will. We were just talking about this game actually beforehand. I feel that I think this is a good breakout spot for Bama to kind of get right. They haven't really played the way that they certainly living up to their expectations, I guess I should say. Especially I guess first year without Saban, but I was leaning like a Bama first half just in case, they kind of, come up with some issues or anything like that, but I don't see Wisconsin being able to do a whole lot. And the Bama first half plays used to just be even before I was like doing this like officially, that was just an auto bet all the time. Bama first half, and that was a little bit back in the heyday, But I think there's a few ways you can play it, and I'll have something like quote unquote official in the Discord for it. But I would lean with the spread, for Bama. I mean, you just can't take Wisconsin. Bama, I think, is the only option. I think you're just asking for some craziness to take if you're gonna back whiskey. D-Rock, my dogs are barking this time. I don't know if you can hear them.
Mine are too. I don't know if you can hear mine in the background.
I know I could hear them. I was laughing. My wife must have just got home, so I can hear my dogs barking.
Yeah,
that's
my
funny.
wife line outside. I'm like, let her ass in. She's probably barking at a raccoon.
Yeah, you're right. All right. So, speaking of a big team, though, I mean, Bama obviously is a popular. When people don't know a lot about betting, but they wake up Sunday morning, or Saturday morning, whatever, and they're like, all right, the Chiefs are playing. The Chiefs are going to win this game because they know the Chiefs. They know Bama. They know Georgia. Georgia versus Kentucky. This is probably a bet it and leave it kind of bet. If Ty was on the show, he'd be, looking at me crazy because he's all about the overs club. I think the under is a good look for Georgia and Kentucky. Going back and forth between the under for the full game and the under on the first half. In the first week, we were on the under for the first half for Clemson and Georgia. I mean, that was realistically sweat-free. But I think there's 2 things you can look at in this game quickly. Pace of play. Kentucky runs the play every 34 seconds between snaps, which has them at the 3rd lowest rate in the league. Georgia's not much faster at the 7th highest rate. So with that, there's going to be a lot of running clock. I mean, unless it's, obviously it's an incomplete pass or something like that. But that means that there's going to be less time, less possessions, less opportunities to score runs. And neither teams run with a lot of tempo. Georgia just doesn't really have the need to run fast with this. Second would be scoring defense. Georgia's only given up 3 points. So they're averaging 3 points given up, so far. Kentucky's respectful at the 34th lowest at 15.5 points per game. So, I mean, still 2 pretty good defenses. Kentucky's not going to move this ball very well. Georgia, it really comes down to, is Georgia going to drop 45 points on them, in my opinion? Is Georgia going to put up, a 37 spot? I'm doing terrible math right now, but what would it be? 38-7 kind of thing. I don't see Kentucky scoring very much. Georgia has a bye, and then they play Bama after that. So there really is no need to, they have a bye, so they can let it rip and everything. But I think it's get in, get out, get the victory. They don't have to get up. And, they're outside, last game was 51-13. But, after that, there's a 22-point total, a 43-point total, a 17, and a 21. And those are back in the days with Will Levis. Will Levis was a much better quarterback than what they have to offer right now. And they were still pretty low scoring games. So this isn't certainly one that you're going to be sitting there watching and cheering for some defense. Like I said, it's probably going to be a bet it and forget it kind of thing. But I like Georgia and Kentucky under, mainly because they just play so dang slow. D-Rock. Well, actually, on my list, I was about to say, I don't know what order you're going in, so I'll just let you go. But there, you have one play that is near to my heart, and I just like it's going to be such a tough play. But let her rip on number 3.
Yeah, and I'm going down the list, and I believe this is the one that's near to your heart. But Notre Dame minus 7.5 is what the line currently sits at. I think I'm gonna buy the half point in that game and probably take this down to like a -7 or maybe even like a -6.5 if it's not super juicy, because it's at -7.5 with a line of -105 right now. So considering that's almost even money, then we're getting a lot of public that's moving that line right now. So if I could get that at a -7, 6.5 with like a -120, 125, I don't really like betting too much over than that. That's when it's getting a little juicy. Definitely going to take this line tomorrow. We've seen the classic Marcus Freeman collapse after a big game. And what I'm having a hard time figuring out is that they think Riley Leonard is Dan Marino, and they're just going to have him run the crap out of the ball and throw the crap out of the ball. And we're getting some reports that he's got a shoulder injury he's currently dealing with. It sounds like he's still going to play, but I think a lot of this movement's due to the suspicion on whether or not he will. And what should happen tomorrow is this is a must-win game. Notre Dame's got one of the easiest schedules in all of college football, and they should have had an open road to get to the playoffs. They have to win out or they won't make the playoffs this year, especially without them being in the conference. This game is circled. This game is important. And what's going to happen is they're going to get back to their true identity of Notre Dame football. Run the crap out of the ball with your great running back room. Love's going to have to get the 20 touches this game at least. If they want to win, it's over 100 rushing yards. Love's going to have 1 or 2 touchdowns, or their running back room is going to have to at least combine for 150 yards. That's also going to come with good defense. I do like the under in this game as well, but I think Notre Dame, they're going to end up winning this at least by 10, regardless of Riley Leonard's injury concerns or not. So,
yeah, I definitely think I'm nervous, but because they just played so bad. And it's funny you talk about how like their strength of schedule was so bad. Like as a Notre Dame fan, like I'm looking at home games, I'm like, oh, all right, like who are they playing? And it's just like garbage, like games Notre Dame tickets are very expensive. I mean, they're like, we're talking $150, $200 a pop for just honestly garbage tickets at, their stadium, you're sitting on bleachers.
yeah.
And, I was just like, I'm not really interested in going to any of these games, and then they turn around and lose to NIU, like crazy, crazy stuff.
Hey, give me a
Go ahead.
1 second window so I get this dog inside.
You're good. I'm gonna talk about mine, so you're perfect.
All right, cool.
All right. Brief intermission. No, just playing. Like I said, like the video, subscribe, all those words that I'm supposed to say when you're doing a live show or whatever. I'm gonna roll into Colorado. The line right now, let me make sure. So the line right now is at -7.5. I want to buy this down. All right. I want to buy it down to -6.5. This is going to be a tough game. This is a grin and bear it kind of game. I think this game could probably go either way with D-Rock. We're talking Colorado and Colorado State. Colorado at plus 7.5, or if it gets worse, I like Colorado State probably at 7.5. That's why I like to buy down the minus 6.5. You get a good number, minus 130 on it. I don't mind that at all. I think that's very reasonable, giving it out as a straight bet. This is a spot where, look, Colorado has to win this game. Colorado's season, I feel like, is just they can't block. You got 3 of the 5 offensive linemen's like screen blocking, and the other is trying to like slide protect. I mean, it's like they're not on the same page. And are they going to have it figured out? I don't know. But we have a rivalry game where Colorado State is talking just mad shit in the media, saying stuff that Colorado, just like the Oregon stuff, they're out here for clicks, we're out here for whatever. But they're out there talking about Instagram and how, we're here to play ball and everything like that. And Colorado State simply does not have the dudes out there to be able to hang. They quite frankly do not have the talent, and they should not be talking the way they're talking. In my opinion, Colorado State has not looked that good. This is going to be a tough game. It's going to really be a tough game. Look, I could almost make this game as like, I mean, it's at a minus 6.5, minus 7.5, but kind of comes down to in my head, it could be almost damn near a pick 'em realistically. I mean, it kind of goes, especially at the 7, a touchdown range or whatever. But, just like Trent says, here in the chat, you can't get himself to take Colorado spread. After the Colorado State, but on the other hand, a lot of shit talking in the week, and that is a lot of motivation for these guys to figure it out and go out there and try to get themselves a win and whatnot. So it's going to be an ugly game. And I tell you what, this is the last time that I'm betting on Colorado. They've burned me on overs. I feel like they've burned me on an over twice, honestly, at this point. So first time backing them to go out there in a rivalry game. And if they can't beat Colorado State by a touchdown, they're in for a world of hurt, I think, with the rest of their schedule.
Yeah, I have to agree with that one. I think Colorado got punched in the mouth last week. I mean, obviously everybody's seen it. Shadur just got beat up. His offensive line couldn't block anybody. Unfortunately, I think that's not going to change. I know Colorado State's defense it's much lesser of an opponent than Nebraska's defense, but there's no way that the offensive line just all of a sudden flips a switch going week in and week out. And I'm sorry, but when you make those comments to the media about how many times you got hit, like, sure, it's going to be something that the offensive line are going to take to heart and try to improve on. But also, wouldn't be surprised if there was a missed block or two and they just let the defensive line give them one good early crack and say, yeah.
Send the message. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
yep.
The other thing that goes into it is NIL. How much money should Shadur make into his offensive line? You know what I mean? Like, he is he's an all-star in this game. But I do agree with you in the sense that Colorado State, they've been yapping. Colorado hasn't. But at the same time, Colorado doesn't really have much room to yap. They haven't impressed anybody this season, and they're still in the spotlight. So I'm with you there on Colorado State plus 7.5. I think they'll hang in it, but I also wouldn't be shocked if Colorado does wake up a little bit and end up winning this game by double digits. But their defense sucks, line sucks, they'll hang.
Yeah, and then that's why I said too, like, it's such a tough game, and that's why I like to buy it down to the 6.5. Just in terms of like the rivalry game, they got to wake up kind of thing. I think it's going to be a tough one. Yeah, and then Snowman, yeah, exactly. We were just talking about Colorado doesn't have the line. Defense isn't there. It's gonna be tough, and I lean so back and forth, and I guess sometimes you gotta trust the gut. And the gut said 6.5 is a good number. If it got worse or it gets unplayable at 6.5, I say it's move on. But we'll go. And Snowman, I got something coming on that Indiana game. But D-Rock, fourth bet now. I think we're almost to the end here.
This is bet number 4. And call me a homer, but I'm taking Michigan on the minus 22. This will be my first time betting on them all year long. Didn't bet them game one. Wasn't sure what to expect against Fresno. Fresno's not the worst team out there. Then they got obliterated by Texas. I mean, Texas looked like an NFL team. They look like they're going to win it all. But also, you got the question marks of, okay, how bad is Michigan after losing 18 starters and Jim Harbaugh? However, this is going to be a statement game for Michigan. They need this one to snap out of it. Losing to Texas, whatever. That was embarrassing. You're still at home. Go out there, do what works, run the ball, get the ball to Colson Loveland, and play your good game of defense. I don't see how Michigan doesn't cover this. The public is starting to bet this down. We've seen this line move from 24 all the way to 22. It's 2 points just today. I think we might see this one settle at 21.5 and still get the 22 points. But I don't have an issue with backing Michigan on this one. I think offensively they're going to click a little bit better than we've seen. Davis Warren has been pretty bad, but also he's still getting his yardage out there. So as long as we continue to feed the ball to our better players on offense, I don't see a reason why we can't bounce back this week. And forgive me for sitting here and saying we. It really does show me or show you guys the homer colors here.
What was I going to say? I was going to say something. Dang it. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Arkansas State, no Texas, right? Texas looked – that game was on during my son's birthday party. So I had, the YouTube TV traditional 4-box going on on my stolen refrigerator or whatever we were talking about. But so I didn't see a lot of it, but I kept looking, and the big takeaway was like, oh my gosh, like Bowling Green is hanging with Penn State, and then it was like, oh my gosh, like what is going on with Michigan? So I do think that, yeah, I mean, you would think that it should be a good bounce back, and it's not an ungodly number. We were talking before the show, and some of these spreads have been just wild so far. So really looking forward to getting into some of the conference play and stuff to get some of these real games kind of going, but yeah, I think that's super doable. And it is certainly where I would lean as a Michigan hater, if that makes you feel any better, So.
I can't wait until Michigan Notre Dame plays again. That's 3 years away. I'm over here like kindergarten, counting the last days to school or the days till Christmas, right. Paper rings off.
Right. Yeah, that's true, Snowman. That makes a lot of sense, actually. All right, so my play. So I got 2 more. D-Rock's got 1 more. The goal here is we're doing 5 best on both sides. Usually we have tie here, but we'll be able to, kind of come back and forth. I mean, there's going to be some times where, I may not be available. I mean, I also have the surgery coming up here. I'm sure by next Friday I'll be good to go. I certainly hope so. With the surgery being on Monday, but we'll see how that goes. There may be opportunity for me to not be here, not opportunity, but whatever that is. But yeah, IU, man, I guess it's the Indiana in me. I think the IU -2. Well, let's see. I wanted to buy it down, I think, which I probably don't need it. I can get IU -2.5. I want to buy it down. I don't know if it's considered cheating. I don't care. You can get it for -128. I think that's very doable. I think that's a very fair play to give out to pull it down from the 3.5 to the -2.5. I don't think I think the 3.5 is fine to play, but why play it? Just eat a little juice. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't need to get crazy with it, but I certainly do like IU. UCLA struggled, mightily against Hawaii. They won just 16-13. IU beat IU 31-7. UCLA, had a bye week last week in order to get ready for IU, but I mean, IU essentially had a bye week last week. They won 77-3. And I don't know if it was one of those situations where, like in that game last night, Northwestern versus whoever they were playing, and they ended up shortening the fourth quarter to like 6 minutes or something crazy like that. And luckily we had a live team total and we got our money back. Or that was toast, man. But I don't know if it was one of those games, but man, it was killer. I've seen a lot of people say that, well, IU hasn't played anybody. And you can say that, you can say that all the time. You say that about everybody. But I think that while IU essentially hasn't played, quote unquote, anybody, they've looked pretty damn good not playing anybody. It's not like they're squeaking by or they're looking whatever. IU has looked very cohesive. IU's, coached well. They're not making any of those silly mistakes. They look like a well-coached football team right now, right out of the gates, where UCLA had some turnover, and they're struggling with some of that personnel issues and everything like that. I also am a big fan of the MAC and the things that Curtis Rourke can do. Back from his Ohio days, I mean, he's been looking pretty good. He's protecting the ball. He hasn't had any turnovers so far, knock on wood, averaging 224 yards per game. And I'm cool with the 3.5, but I think it's silly not to buy it down to -2.5. You can get it at -128. That's very, very doable to play it straight. Probably my last play I'm like very bullish on, and I've bet every week so far, and I've won money with every week so far. But the IU play is probably one of my favorites. And then when we're talking, in the Discord or whatever, don't know if it ends up straight, but if even just teasing through 0 and give them 4.5 or even 7.5 with a lesser line of something else. There's certainly be some different ways to play it, but I think IU is going to be a really good look for us. Easy. D-Rock, last and final play from you.
I'm rocking with Ole Miss at Wake Forest, taking the over 64. I am really high on this Ole Miss offense. I think a lot of people are. People think that Ole Miss is the best offense in the SEC. We could see if that'll last this year or not. Jackson Dart, he's going to be able to get his way through the air, and I believe they're going to be able to have whatever they want in their rushing attack too. We just seen Wake Forest allow Virginia to come into their house last week, put up 31 points. Ole Miss is hanging 52 on these guys, and if they score in the 50s, all I'm asking Wake Forest to do, give me 10, 14 points. I mean, Ole Miss hasn't really had a true test this year either. They've faced 2 lower-level opponents. They've played Furman and who was their game last week? Furman and Middle Tennessee. Furman, they hung 76 on. Middle Tennessee, 52. We're going to see a high-scoring affair in this one. Wake Forest will be able to score a few times. Ole Miss is going to end up beating them. I mean, I don't know what the spread is in that game, but I don't see how this total doesn't reach the 70s, to be honest.
Well, the spread is higher, I think. I'll tell you here in a second. 20.5, under 3 touchdowns. That's not bad.
I don't mind that look.
But some backdoor, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Sticking with the over. I'm say I like this play a lot. I'm say I will probably have player props in this game too in the Discord. I most definitely am going to be betting on Jackson Dart's passing yards. I don't see why he won't pass for 300, 325 yards in this one. Partner that with another quarterback this weekend, be able to get some good plus money.
Yeah, I remember when Ole Miss played Penn State last year, and his pass yards was like 246, I think. And he cashed it with like 4 minutes to go in the second quarter or something like that. Like Jackson Dart's solid. Ole Miss offense is just super good, man. I think you basically answered it though. I was gonna ask you, I'm like, well, does Ole Miss do this by themselves? And like they really could. It just depends on whether or not they're gonna take their foot off the gas or whatever. But Ole Miss has been looking pretty dang good.
Yeah, and like I said, with this being their first true test and on the road at Wake Forest, I don't see why Wake Forest can't score 10, 14 points. I'd be shocked if this was a shutout. And if it was a shutout, you're talking 45, 52 Ole Miss points to 0. I don't quite see that happening. If they do get that far ahead, I wouldn't be surprised to see some of the reserves come in and to play for Ole Miss. But yeah, I'm very comfortable taking the over on this one.
Yeah, For sure. No, I think that's gonna be really. And I mean, anything with Ole Miss is gonna be. I can't wait to get into Ole Miss and another high flying offense. I can't wait to get into those kind of college football games where there's just stupid pass touchdowns all over the place and everything. I mean, that's certainly what we need. All right, to wrap her up, before I give my last play here, now's the time. Certainly, we've kind of gone up and down, had a bunch of people, had lost some people, but those are on YouTube, Twitter, wherever watching. Now's the time. If there's a game that you're interested in and we didn't cover, drop that in the chat, as there's a little bit of a delay as we talk and whatnot. And then if not, we'll close it out, and whatnot. But my last play is going to be going with UCF money line versus TCU. I've honestly just always liked to bet on UCF. They brought in a lot of good talent. Their offense is great. I mean, they're running the ball really well. And they haven't really cracked into, I think, a lot of their potential that they've had. Is they haven't really had too much of a this is another one of those that they haven't really played anybody kind of thing. First road test, they're going into Texas, obviously, but UCF, like I said, running the ball really well. TCU did struggle for the most of the game against Stanford. And UCF is just a much tougher team than what Stanford obviously has to offer. I certainly don't see this being a blowout. I think it could be a sweaty game. I don't think it's going to be even more than a touchdown probably game. It's a pretty fair to where the spread is. I could see this coming down to a UCF holding on to a 2, 3, 4 point lead, trying to stop a touchdown, or them driving to try to score. And there's some last second, fireworks for a late touchdown, a late interception in the red end zone, something like that. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think that the right side is going to be taking UCF against TCU, and then being able to utilize and really utilize, I mean, Jefferson, Boone, all these new acquisitions that they had, and get the job done. I'm slowly trying to still pay attention. Oh, there's a timeout. I was wondering why it's been stuck on 3rd and long for Arizona for the longest time. We're about to go into halftime for that game. UNLV is about to get the ball back. UNLV is going to win this game. They have the potential. If UNLV could have stopped, they've scored once and they've kicked 3 field goals. I mean, they got to figure that out.
Yeah, 7 in that game, and then Arizona just passed incomplete.
Oh, yep.
They had 3 penalties on that drive that just killed them.
Yeah, I saw they were 3rd and 1st and 30 or something like that.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
At least that's what it said on FanDuel. Yeah, that's not good. Okay, so almost perfect timing. I'm gonna pull the recap screen up here real quick. I gotta get that pulled up on my other screen first here. Like I said, now's the time if you guys had anything in particular.
Yeah, while we're waiting for some people to drop some questions, I decided I'm gonna give out just one player prop. But that's gonna be Colson Loveland receiving yards. He is literally the only consistent offensive player for Michigan. I know there's some questions surrounding the quarterback position, but they're doing a good job of getting the ball to their safety blanket in Colson Loveland too. Number one, he's the best tight end in the nation. Number two, he's game 1, I believe he had 9 targets on 8 receptions for 90 yards. And the game last week against Texas, although it was pretty bad, he had 11 targets, 8 receptions for 70 yards. DraftKings still hasn't really adjusted this line. I know it's a lot of yards for a tight end, but he lines up out wide, lines up from the tight end position. 50 yards, you're telling me 20 yards less than 20 to 30 yards less than what he's been getting already through these first 2 games of the season. I got to bet that. I'm probably going to bet that one up to at least 70 on this game tomorrow.
Yeah, that seems super solid. Yeah, I like to bet props in college, and I have the availability of it, but there's just so many games on a Saturday that it's just man, you get lost in the sauce. There's times when there's a FanDuel 50% boost, and it's oh yeah, I just need this quarterback to over 200 yards, but then you got a game where Tennessee, where Grayson McCall dude throws for 110 yards or something stupid.
And that gets benched. Yeah.
and kills my stuff there. But appreciate it, Snowman. Let's see, Steven, no more baseball. Yeah, man, it's just this is the time of year. I'm just done with it.
That's smart.
I will say that, like, I started out really hot. Like, I hopped off NBA a lot faster than I usually did to start betting on MLB. But yeah, I mean, it's just we're getting to the point where with like playoffs coming up and stuff that it's just gross, you know. Chris, DraftKings is a promo for a 4-leg profit boost. Jort, you really like the IU play. My question is, what is both of y'all's favorite 2 plays today for this promo? So first off, I use like every promo in the Discord. So I don't know if you're actually in the Discord or not. Of course we'll answer this question, but I'll have like a specific play to that. And a lot of the times I end up like quote unquote cheating, you know, and so because it's a boost, I'll try to have a more favorable line, like, you know, utilize, you know, like for example, if a line was 10.5, I'll pull it down to 6.5 or something like that. But I would say that my favorite would definitely be mine would be IU minus 2.5, and probably I really don't think there's going to be a lot of points in the Georgia Kentucky game. So the under in Georgia Kentucky would be my favorite too.
Yeah, mine would probably be the Michigan spread. If you're putting that on a boost, you'd still get a pretty good price if you took that down to minus 21. Get it off that 1.5. And then I really like the over in the Ole Miss Wake Forest game. That I think both teams are going to be able to score. Ole Miss just, like I said, probably 17 to 21 point lead at the end of that game, but they're going to be scoring well into the 40s. I like that one, but I mean, one thing, I know this is a pretty casual thing to say, but these 5 plays that I put out here for this show, those are probably my 5 favorite plays this weekend. So hard choosing. I'll say it would suck if I went 4-1 and I gave you one of the ones I ended up losing.
Right. That's the way it goes. Yeah.
Oh, every time.
Right. Trent, yeah, Washington State should be a pretty close game. I don't overly have an opinion on that game. Really, sometimes there's just so many games that just some of them just can't be on your radar. And with Washington losing just so much offensive production, I mean, it's just not a team that I'm just not really interested in, you know, messing with, if that makes sense. But I think it should be a pretty close game. D-Rock, I don't know if you like anything in that.
No, I'm kind of in the same boat you are with a Saturday slate that's big as, well, every Saturday, I should say, where you got 40 to 50 games on every single weekend. I typically scroll through and just eliminate the games that I don't really like. Washington's one of those teams that I don't like this year because I don't know really who they are identity wise. I mean, like George, you just said it, they lost a lot of people on both sides of the ball with Dober going to Alabama, but I have a hard time backing that team right now. I will probably try to watch that game, to be honest, because there's not a ton of good football on tomorrow. But just to try to figure out what the identity is of both those Washington teams.
For sure. And then Trent, also on that line's moved, it looks like, at least on DraftKings. You can get Ohio for plus 3.5 is where it's sitting at. I would certainly lean Ohio. I've always been really familiar with the MAC. I think Miami, Ohio has had a good defense for a while. I mean, they're no means world beaters or anything, but I would lean Miami, Ohio in that game.
Me too.
So there you go. All right, we're gonna hit the recap here. I can already tell my wife kicked on the PS5, starting to stream something because I got the little like bars, like if my stream's unstable, so I can tell that the internet's gonna, you know, I got some usage going on. All right, so to recap here though, D-Rock is gonna go with South Carolina plus 6.5, NC State minus 21.5, Notre Dame minus 7.5, Ole Miss versus Wake over 64.5, and Michigan minus 22.5. He mentioned, you know, if you're using Michigan, you know, in a parlay type piece, you know, pulling it down to 21 or, you know, 20.5 would be certainly the smart way. Would be the very smart way to play it. You don't want to, you know, go against unnecessary, you know, lines if you don't have to. My side, I like Missouri over 34.5. The key number there in the team total. Georgia versus Kentucky under 44.5. UCF money line, Colorado -6.5, and IU -2.5 for my 5. Those are the 10 plays for the day. Like I said, through 2 weeks of the show, we are flat. We're 10-10. Started out, I mean, honestly, great. 8-2. Like I said, if you missed in the beginning, 8-2 in the first week, and then a 2-8 week 2. And from what I see, and talking around to some people that bet on the sport, I mean, a lot of people struggled. There was a lot of wonkiness with it. I think week 3, there's still some weird games and not a lot of games. There's not a lot of marquee brand type games. No more Texas versus Michigan type stuff, none of the big names. But I think it's still going to be a pretty good week of football though. So D-Rock, do you have anything on the closing side of things?
No, like you said, the lines this weekend, they're a little weird. Not a lot of good games on when LSU, South Carolina, Alabama, Wisconsin, and then Colorado State are your biggest games this weekend. But, I'll be pulling up the YouTube TV 4 screens, watching as many games as I possibly can.
Right. Yeah, always. You have to. All right. So, D-Rock, we appreciate you, filling in for Ty. I'm sure it won't be the first time. So thanks so much for coming. Anybody left in the chat, make sure you give D-Rock some love. D-Rock, I forgot to, you asked me this in particular. Did you type anything when you came in?
I sure did.
Yeah, that's your Twitter right there, right? Yeah, my bad. So, God, punch me in the face. D-Rock's Twitter can point to it there. He's got an extra T in his D-Rock Sports Bet. Check that out. And mine's at Live Joe Bets. I will make sure for those of you that are familiar around or follow me on Twitter or whatever. I tagged him in the we're going going live or whatever, so you can find him there. My bad for not putting that up sooner, but thanks to him. Oh, Jared says it was the backup that tore it.
Oh, John Emery. Okay. Yeah, that's who it was.
Yeah. Even though, I mean, they're still not running the ball very well.
Yeah.
That's funny. He's probably back like 20 minutes. He might not even see this live right now. Because we're still live. He rewound it.
He was supposed to be the starter last year and got into some trouble. I think some off-field issues, but he had a few big runs in that USC game, but they were excited he was coming back, and then boom, torn ACL. It's like, all right, kid, hang up the cleats.
Yeah, that's a bummer. All right. Anyhow, I thank D-Rock. I appreciate everybody watching. Make sure you, like I said, give me a follow, give me a subscribe. If you watch this on a recorded version, thanks so much as well. If you have additional questions on the recorded version, you can comment on this video. I'll get it, tonight, tomorrow morning. Twitter as well for both of us, normally pretty active, and then in the Discord, pretty available to answer questions there as well. But hopefully we have ourselves a much better day than we did last weekend. Hopefully everybody has themselves a much better day than they did last weekend. And we will plan on seeing you guys back next Friday at 8:30 to do it all over again. We'll see you guys then. Appreciate you guys.
Hey, I got one more.
What's up? No, you're good. One more thing.
Buzzer. One more thing to add. I think this will be really fun. For everybody who had a chance to listen, if you do like our plays and you decide to build any parlays or anything like that, drop them in the comments on Twitter underneath this video so we could see who's tailing us and what kind of tickets can cash.
Yeah, sounds good. Make sure you, and I'll retweet it too, but drop that. We'd love to see it. Love to see it when people follow. I mean, that's the name of the game. And then obviously we win you guys money. That's the, even more enjoyable.
Even better. That's why we do it.
Yeah, exactly. Appreciate you guys. And somebody will see you next week at 8:30.